Next question goes, first of all, to Mr. Walker Thomas. Based on Kentucky Constitution, cities are divided in 6 classes based on population. Certainly earlier in the forum, we heard tonight some of the needs of the city of Hopkinsville, some plans there. Hopkinsville is a Class 2 city and not allowed to charge a restaurant tax, while Madisonville, Elizabethtown, and Cadiz, Class 4 and 5 cities, have restaurant taxes for economic development. Would you support or propose to the General Assembly that this law be changed so all cities could impose such a tax if they so choose to do? Why or why not? We'll start off with Walker Thomas first of all.
Okay, thank you, Alan. You know, first of all, remember, I'm not for taxes, but my core beliefs believe that the choices need to be with the people. I am tired of government from Washington ramming things down our throat. That's how we got Obamacare. It's rammed down our throat. It was presented at the last moment. So if it is on the dockets around here, that is fine. The people will get to vote on that. It will not be, all he's asking is basically if the General Assembly would let it appear on the dockets. And then that way, you know, the citizens can vote whether or not they want a restaurant tax. And that's where I think the power is. The power is in the people, not us who's leading y'all. We want to hear from you as we make these decisions.
Representative Taylor?
Well, if it comes down, it will not come from Washington. It will come from Frankfurt. And I've had several discussions with Mayor Hendricks about this. I've sent him emails looking at the various options. I think it's something that needs to be put on a referendum. I would probably vote in favor of it. And then we would leave it up to the local community. But it would need to hit a referendum. But I'm also a local resident. I'm not just a state representative. I lived here before I was a state representative, and I'll live here after I'm a state representative. And if it came to me personally, I would vote against it.
Let's talk along that same line again. This first question goes first to Representative Jeff Taylor. Do you think larger cities should have the right to impose time-limited, projected, targeted taxes? If yes, should Hopkinsville be included in that?
I don't think so. Basically what he means, folks, is they would set a tax for a specific amount of time, say a year or two, for a specific project. No, I don't think so. I think the way that you improve a community is to increase the revenue and not the taxes. And the way you do that is through workforce education and attracting new jobs. With new jobs, people pay more taxes. With better jobs and better education, the tax rate goes up. They pay more taxes. So that's how I would accomplish that.
Okay. Mr. Thomas?
Wow, Alan, about 4 of your questions now have involved taxes and adding taxes. So once again, I'm not for tax increases. This is one, though, it's under the same structure. Basically, it puts the power back to the people. If you see that this sportsplex is something that you want to fund, you have the right to vote that in. The problem is these sunset clauses never really ever set. They always seem to say, oh, well, listen, we're supposed to have stopped the tax increase for 7 years to get the thing paid for, but now we need maintenance for the next 7 years, so let's keep this tax going. So I am really not for, more taxes, but if it came down to it, I think the locals can make that decision. Put the power back to the people.
Thank you, gentlemen. Next question goes first of all to Walker Thomas. And only 3 questions left. So, gentlemen, we're getting close to the end here, but appreciate the League of Women Voters who've done a wonderful job preparing some very good questions for you guys tonight. In 1947, the Taft-Hartley bill was passed by Republicans, which says that persons cannot be forced to join a union but must pay for cost of representatives for their benefits. In light of this law in the federal books, do you favor a right-to-work bill in Kentucky? First of all, it goes to Walker Thomas.
Yes. Now I'm going to take the other minute and talk about something else. Well, no, I'll elaborate on it. Our border state right now, we have now Indiana is a right to work. We have West Virginia, and we're sandwiched underneath with Tennessee. There's a reason that Clarksville got Google. They just got Google. You know, the average hourly wage that Google is going to be starting with is almost $50 an hour. Now, why did they select Tennessee instead of being right over here in Kentucky? You know, we have a mega site that did not get sold, and many of them did. So there is some benefit to be looking at the right to work issue.
Mr. Taylor?
You already have a right to work. I do not support right to work. If it's a union shop, just don't apply on the job there. And folks, it's a misnomer. It's a red herring. It's a goose chase. I'm a professional economic developer, and I risked my whole career on this. And you're going to see this. History will vindicate me. Right to work, it's not an issue. What they're looking for is a good workforce and a good building. And I dread to think, because Hopkinsville has an anti-union image and history, I dread to think the number of good jobs that have flown right over Hopkinsville because people don't say, they say we're non-union. Mary Hendricks and I were at a chamber meeting the other day with Deloitte Consulting. The consultant said, I agree with Jeff Taylor, and you're going to see more economic development consultants say this. Get the workforce, get the building, you'll get the jobs.
Mr. Thomas?
Yeah, I would like to rebut on that. You know, right to work means that you still can join the union. It just should be your choice. If you're going to go to work for anyone, it should not be forced down you. If you are a big advocate for pro-life, why put all that money into the unions which support pro-abortion? It is not fair. You should have the right to be able to opt out, and that's all right to work is asking for. I should not have to be a Rotarian, but I choose to.
Here's the oxymoron. Secretary Eric Dunnigan, Secretary of our Economic Development Cabinet, has for the past 3 years posted record-breaking job retention and location numbers for the state of Kentucky. So if right to work is such an issue, how's he setting these records? Also, the last 2 companies that I located to Kentucky, to the TVA region, to Kentucky, Litchfield, Kentucky, and Morgantown, Kentucky. One came from Indiana and one came from Tennessee. Go figure.
Thank you, gentlemen. And a couple more questions here. This goes first to Representative Jeff Taylor. Considering the dire conditions in our coal counties, how would natural resources regulations be reformed to have balance between coal miner needs and climate change? And do you have any other suggestions or thoughts that might help beside new regulations?
I do believe in climate change is real versus my opponent. I agree with Dr. Carl Sagan. Climate change is real. I work for TVA. I think our coal fleet should stay usable. I think we could continue to seek federal dollars for the research center at UK. I'm all for green energy. But folks, I'm very worried if we ever have a natural disaster or global conflict, we're going to wish we had those coal-fired units back. I can assure you. One unit, Unit 3 at Paradise Steam Plant in Muhlenberg County, powers the whole city of Nashville. That's going to take a whole lot of solar panels and a whole lot of wind turbines to make that up.
Mr. Thomas?
You know, my opponent, even on his Facebook page, you'll see pictures of him next to Greg Stumbo and also Hillary Clinton, who has said that they will put our coal industry out of business. There's going to be a lot of coal miners unemployed, is what she said. That is unreal. That is a lifeblood of Kentucky. We have a lot of coal still in the ground that needs to come out. I talked to someone, and they are trying to regulate it so fine that they don't even have tools hardly to be able to measure the amounts of pollutant that's going out. So we'll let those states way out west in California, let them regulate coal or cow farts. But for us, it's hard to regulate the amount of pollutants that go into the air. A volcano explodes, and it's like as much pollutant in the air as it has been ever since we've been tracking this issue. So I am for putting our coal miners back to work.
President Taylor, rebuttal.
Walker, this is twice you told me that you watched my Facebook page. I wish you'd just go ahead and friend me. I'd accept. But I will tell you guys this. One thing that you didn't notice on my Facebook page, that I'm endorsed by the United Mine Workers. They gave me $1,000, and they're not out-of-state money. So apparently they know where I stand on coal.
Well, I'm sorry, I just
Yeah,
started talking there. Well, that's funny, because back in the special election, all the Alliance coal companies and stuff sent me money, so maybe they're hedging our bets, Jeff. So.
One final question, gentlemen, and this goes first of all to Mr. Walker Thomas. Enabling everyone access to voting is a priority of the League of Women Voters. One option might be to have early voting. Currently, Kentucky does not have early voting except for absentees. What reasons would you give for supporting or denying early voting in Kentucky? Walker, first of all.
Yes, sir. You know, we already have it. Right now, I think today is the first day you can early vote here in town. So you could go vote for Jeff and I right now. But the reasons are you have to be absent on election day. Is that not the fair way? If you can't be here election day, you can go vote. So we have early voting. I heard where right now a third of the population is already starting to vote. We have not even had the last presidential debate. I think it's scheduled Wednesday. So the way I relate it is, would you go to college for a whole semester, skip out on the last month and want to take the test? Let's have everybody as educated as they can on the candidates before they can suddenly go vote. Just because of convenience? That's not right. We have been set up in America on election day for years, hundreds of years. That's where it needs to stay.
Representative Taylor, same question.
I think we could enhance early voting. I mean, we're in a global economy now. People travel constantly. They take vacations. They have obligations. Things come up. I'm also in favor of same-day registration and the ability to vote. Right now, you have to register 30 days out. The rest of the country is far ahead of us on these issues, and we have a huge disenfranchisement of voters. A lot of people in Kentucky simply can't vote. I think this is a way to engage more people.